Thank you. The inner child. Well, one thing I like to kind of talk about initially is understanding the human mind and what it is. And one thing which really gets people like, no, I don't get it, I don't understand, is when I talk about 95% of what we do every day. So that's 95% of your choices, your behaviours, your decisions, your actions are controlled by emotional patterns, which are subconscious. You don't even realise they're doing it. And everybody I say this to and go, well, no, I know what I'm doing. You know, I see what I'm doing and I take an active role in it. So how can that be subconscious? Well, it's the feelings. It's the feelings that you have about a particular thing which makes you acting a certain way. If you don't feel good about something, are you going to get engaged with it? Chances are not, there. If you feel great about something and really inspired, are you going to really embroil yourself in it? Well, the chances are yes. So that feeling itself is what makes you disengage or engage. But what are feelings? This is the whole thing. And modern neuroscience has told us that actually the old adage about all our thoughts and feelings and emotions and memories are stored in our brain is complete and utter bunkum. We know now the whole body is actually a brain. We have neurons throughout our whole body. In fact, the gut itself has more brain neurons than a cat. So your gut is actually more intelligent than a cat. And cats are actually reasonably intelligent. Now, also the heart. The heart is a brain. The heart has over 40,000 brain neurons. And that has cognitive thinking. It has a neural cortex just like your brain. And it actually, an interesting thing with the heart brain, because 40% of the cells in your heart are brain cells, yeah? What your heart thinks is actually 20 more times important than what your brain thinks. Why do we know this? Well, we've got 20 times more neural pathways going from the heart to the brain than from the brain to the heart. So in order of precedence, what the heart's thinking is more important. It also has another function. It actually uses a chemical, what they call a neurotransmitter, a neural peptide, a chemical, which actually changes your brain function. Yeah, and I know I'm going a bit technical and things like that, and I'm a bit of a geek, and I've studied this like for 25 years. I've been obsessed with it as a hobby. And, you know, because I always said when I was 13, you know, and I remember when I was very young, and people thought I was maybe a little bit balmy. I think people still do, maybe. But, you know, I always questioned, you know, why do I look like this? Why do we talk like this? Why do we walk like this? Why do we operate like these in society? And it has been that pursuit of that knowledge which has driven me to understand how humans behave. And the thing is what we do when we're growing up, and this is the key thing, we're talking about 95% of behaviour is automatic. A quick example of this, just put your hands together like that. Yeah, very simple, we do all this, right? Which thumb's on top? Yeah, so you'll have a slightly different one. So put your hands apart, just hands, woo, right? Hands back together, right? And now unless you've actually consciously, purposely, because I was doing it, put them the other way, that you will have them exactly the same way as you had before. Yes? Yeah. Now when you get up in the morning, you put your trousers on, you put the same leg in. Yeah, I don't know if you've done the old arm folding technique, right? Fold your arms. Yeah, fold them the other way. Yeah, and it's awkward, isn't it? So the thing is, evolution has taught us that making decisions is stressful. In fact, Steve Jobs and Einstein wore the same clothes every day to eliminate arbitrary, pointless decisions, right? Because every decision fatigues you. It's a very recognized psychology these days. Now, if every decision fatigues you, then if you're going to decide how you're going to put your hands together every time and think about it, well, that's going to slow you down, isn't it? You're going to think, right, shall I do it this way or that way? No. You know, it's pointless. So we make automatic response patterns to create efficiency in our lives, right? The reason is the brain is a massive drain on our resources. 20% of the entire blood flow through a whole body goes to your brain. In an average day, your brain takes 25% of the micronutrients, 25% of the oxygen, and up to 70% of the glucose resources in your body. And this is something that represents 2% of your body mass. So just like the proverbial lion out on the Serengeti, it doesn't go jogging for fun, unlike us idiot humans. Yeah, what they do is, they will run to hunt, because running is a massive resource. If they deplete their energy and are unable to hunt, they're dead. It's as simple as that. So we've got very Neanderthalic response patterns in ourselves which work on a similar principle. We want to do things as effortlessly and efficiently as possible. So we create automatic response patterns and associations. Now, 80% of these behaviours are embedded before we're 7 to 8 years old. And this is why, who is it now? Is it Behaviour or something like that? They say, give me a child until he's 7 and I'll show you the man. It was St. Augustine. Thank you for that. I couldn't remember it for a second. And the reason is we go through a very interesting phenomena. Our brain develops at different stages. And from the age of 0 to around 2, give or take a little bit, we're in a very... If you put a small child of that age under an electroencephalograph and a functional MRI, it actually looks like there's nobody at home. Yeah, there's no perceivable level of consciousness as how we actually understand it as adults, right? They are in the moment. They are in the now. That is what they are. They react to behaviours that they see, and then a minute later, like the proverbial goldfish, although that's been proven, the goldfish don't have memory, they forget about it, right? And this is why peekaboo works, when they cover the eyes. Actually, because they don't understand the back of your hands, they think you've disappeared. And then when you move them, it's like, oh gosh, that was magic, you've reappeared, and that's why they laugh, yeah? So they're very in the moment, and this is actually where we need to get back to as adults, being more in the moment. Now, at the age of 2, functional changes in the grey matter in your prefrontal cortex changes your level of consciousness. We start processing things differently, yeah? So we go through a phase which we call theta brainwave state. Now, our brain has different resonant frequencies. It goes from delta all the way up to gamma, and it ranges from half a cycle per second up to 60 cycles per second. And the different levels of resonant frequencies are different processing rates. What I mean by processing rates, you've got to look at yourself as more of a biocomputer, yeah? Actually, the brain with the synapses works on ones and zeros. It is digital, yeah? And we process information in a certain way. So I'm talking to your conscious mind at the moment, yeah? And that conscious mind, the bit that is processing what I'm saying, how it relates to things, whether you're cold, whether you're warm, whether you need another drink, that, as a computer, can process around about 40 bits of information per second, yeah? Now, your subconscious mind, we've again measured its processing rates. It actually processes information at about 40 million bits per second. Yeah. It's a million times more powerful. Now, to put that in real terms for you, to give you an idea of the difference of the level of processing that's going on. So, to give you an idea, your subconscious mind is having 1 million thoughts to every one thought you have in your conscious mind. That's why it's subconscious. You'd go balmy if it actually was conscious. Yeah? So if you, say, took the most complex problem on the planet and you wanted to consciously figure it out, so you sat there and did it like a 9-to-5 job, okay? And you did it, let's say you did 6 hours solid work a day. You know, you went in, you had your dinners, you had your breaks, and you had 6 solid hours. And let's say you had your 4 weeks holiday a year, but you did it for a 40-year career, yeah? Your subconscious mind can do the same amount of processing in 5.4 minutes. So we've all leveraged it at times. We've all said, oh, what's that guy's name? Oh, I'll remember it later. And you're driving home and you go, John! 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 Hi, Caroline, it was John. Yeah, that's his name. Yeah? Because you said you'd remember it later. And your mind works a bit like a librarian. It will actually go and get the information. And if you haven't stored it in an effective manner, it's just like when you go to your filing cabinet, you know, right, where did I put that bloody, yeah, it's Taffin, no, it's Taffin. Did I put it, right, did I put it under psychology? Right. And you've got to look for it. So your brain's the same. And the more kind of links you put to the same information, the quicker access you've got to it. Yeah? So this is what we do as humans. We create these access links to certain things. So as we're growing up, if we saw our mother really, really stressed or freaking out over this little thing on the floor, which is black with 8 legs, we actually, at that age, are what they call empathic. Now, empathic is you physically experience another person's emotions as if they were your own emotions. It's the same experience. I mean, if you've ever looked at kids and in a group and then one gets scared, the other gets scared automatically for some reason. Yeah, if one starts crying, we all start crying. And the reason is that function, we all feel it. And one of it is because of the heart. The heart's an amazing thing. It produces an electromagnetic field, a bit like the Earth. Have you seen the Earth's donut torus field? Yeah. It's what protects us from the solar winds. It causes the aurora borealis. Yeah. Well, it's a toroidal field of electromagnetic field. Every cell in your body has a toroidal field. Your heart has the largest toroidal field of the whole body. It can be physically measured up to 120 feet away from the body if it's put in an electromagnetically inert place. Now again, this is a bit technical, but what it actually means in real terms is we have got a field of energy that actually intermingles with everybody in this room, which actually senses each other, right? Because that vibratory field, that electromagnetic field, which can be physically measured with equipment, right, resonates dependent on the emotional state you are in at that moment in time. And when you put it under an electroencephalograph, you know, an oscilloscope, you can actually see these vibrational fractures and things like that. So when you're stressed, they're very erratic and very high frequency fractures on. When you're relaxed, they're very smooth. Yeah? So that emotional state we sense from people. Has anybody ever gone into a room and go, oh God, this room's got a great vibe? Why did you say vibe? It's all about vibration. And the sooner you understand how we interact, I mean, we all know about, you know, non-verbal language. Well, this is a level deeper. You know, we sense people, and if they're, because it's a vibratory state, yeah, if your vibration or frequency isn't a match for somebody else's, in other words, you get a peak of a wave meet a trough, you get the sum of the two, which is cancellation. So you might be really high energy and you meet somebody who's a depressive, by the time you leave, you're drained. Yeah? The depressive feels great. Oh, I love that conversation. Yeah? Because that's the cancellation. They're down there, you're up here, and you meet in the middle. Yeah? And it is the inner child, really, which is controlling most of these feelings. Because feelings are chemicals, they're just automatic response patterns. So when you get these chemicals dumped in your body, they go up into the thalamus, where 95% of these receptors are kept, and they go through the thalamatic gate to the neural cortex, which alter hormonal switches, which actually affect your consciousness, how you process information. So what we work on is a thing called confirmation bias. So if you've got a fear that you can't do something, can't achieve something, or achieving it will cause you stress or embarrassment or something like that, you will feel an emotional resistance to it. That emotional resistance, the chances is it will either affect your performance in doing it, because it tightens your throat and all this kind of stuff, or you will avoid that action to start off with. So everything is embedded behaviour. Pretty much most of what we do is embedded behaviour. So understanding that embedded behaviour and where it came from is the most liberating thing that I ever did in my whole life. Understanding what my reactionary behaviour is transformatory to understanding why you're getting the results in your life that you're getting. Because it is your actions that dictate the results. We all know this, all coaches talk about it. But it's our emotions that dictate our actions. And this is why sometimes you get coached into doing something, but it still doesn't happen. Because your emotions aren't in line with it. There is a resistance. You know, I like the old adage of, you know, if you get into your car and you've got your handbrake on, you go to set off, the back wheels are going to be dragging behind you. Yeah, you don't put your foot down harder to try and push it forwards. Yeah? Some might do. But without that mechanical sympathy, what's going to give? Something's going to break, something's going to burn out. And it's exactly the same with you too. If you're always constantly pushing because you think life's tough, what happens is something breaks. And it's usually ourselves. We have a breakdown, we have all sorts of problems, and that's reflected in our lives because our brains are looking for confirmation bias. It's a bit like Google, right? And a classic example of this is when you go and buy a new car. When you buy a new car, you think, oh, I want something different, I want something unusual. And, oh, you don't see that, oh, you don't see many of those, do you? I'll have one of those, and you get it, and you drive home, and you're like, oh, fucking, what's happening? Yeah? Anybody had that experience? Yeah? So that's called the reticular activating system. The reticular activating system literally looks for patterns of behavior. Our eyes take on 65 gigabytes of data per second, but we can only process 40 bits per second. 65 gigabyte days, 65 billion bits of information. This is why a lot of the things in our environment, you go, oh, it's a bit of fluff, not a spider. Yeah? Because we look for the worst in things. It's called the chimp paradox. There's a chimp mind. There's a great TED talk if you want to have a look for that one. And it talks about how this fight or flight, our survival instinct, is a lot more powerful than our human instinct. Survival is the key. So if you've put a danger sign in a particular area of your life, you're going to avoid it like the plague. And this is what procrastination is. Because if you're not emotionally engaged in your work, you must have an emotional resistance to doing the work. So if you've got emotional resistance to doing the work, well, and you're not doing enough work to get the level of success that you want, you don't want to just push and maybe work late nights and everything like that to compensate for it. You need to find what the resistance is. Take the handbrake off so you can more effortlessly move forwards. So, I mean, I've gone over a lot of stuff, and one thing I like is I like a bit of interaction. So if you've got any questions, if I've said anything that you don't quite understand, or maybe it's a bit contentious, fire away any questions.
Tips.
Yes.
So if you go through a process and you identify where you're putting your danger signs, etc., what then?
Brilliant question. Yes. What then? Because we work on confirmation bias, and and the stress and the fear is actually the dominating factor. What you need to do is remove the fear response to it. Yeah, there are many ways of doing it. Some faster than others. But what you want to do is remove the negative association with it. Because if you remove the negative association, that no longer becomes the dominant factor. So what you can then is put a new pattern of behavior in, and it will accept it more readily. Yeah. So this is why affirmations, which a lot of people talk about, do affirmations and say it over and again, repeat and repeat, repeat. Same with martial arts. You know, it was Bruce Lee who said, "I'm more scared of someone who's practiced one move 1,000 times than 1,000 moves once." Yeah. And that is because we embed patterns of behavior that way. The challenge is if the resistance is so great, all you're doing is you're batting up against it. So this is the reason why people don't get actual results from affirmations, because the resistance is too deep and the affirmations are wrong. We react to language. So how long have I got?
You've got a couple of minutes.
A couple of minutes. Can I have a quick volunteer and I'll demonstrate how that works.
Well done, Simon.
Hey, thank you. So you're left-handed, didn't you say?
Right-handed, yeah.
Oh, sorry, right-handed. We're going to use your left arm. Is that what I meant? Right. So we were doing a bit of kinesiology earlier. So this leverages what they call the parasympathetic nervous system. The parasympathetic nervous system is part of our fight or flight system. So everyone knows a lie detector. A lie detector measures the galvanic skin response, which is we preemptively sweat when we're stressed. We get all clammy, don't we? And also our heart rate goes up. It's because we want more energy. We need more strength. Yep. And we're going to create heat, so we preemptively get rid of the heat. Now, another thing that happens when you tell a lie is you get a conflict between the neural cortex, which deals with your muscle function, yeah, the motor cortex, and the rational part of your brain that's dealing with language, right? So a simple one is your name. Say, we did this before, didn't we?
Simon.
Yep. So my name is Simon.
My name is Simon.
And let's resist. Yep. So I'm going to push down,
okay,
and you're going to push up. Yep. So you're going to keep your arm there, right? That's the default position. So nice and strong. Okay. So we're going to, we'll do it one more time. Nice and strong. Okay. So say, my name is Simon.
My name is Simon.
And resist. Nice and strong. Okay. So pick a girl's name.
Lynn.
Say, my name is Lynn.
My name is Lynn.
And resist. See the big difference there. So I'm a man.
I'm a man.
And resist. Nice and strong. I'm a woman.
I'm a woman.
You see, it just drops, doesn't it? So that is showing you that he's not a woman.
Just on a Friday.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't think we've got time for more. I could go into more detail and show you, relationships to many different things. So if you can use this at home, it's a great tool. I've got a little video on my LinkedIn profile telling you how to use it, right? So use it. It is a great tool, and it will tell you what physically stresses you. So if your target is to hit 50 grand or 100 grand or whatever that target is this year, say, I can confidently and effortlessly hit my 50 grand target. If you go weak, you don't have a belief that supports it. So what you need to find out is, because it's stressing you, and we avoid stress. So you're going to avoid the behaviours that will lead you to that success. Yeah? Very well established and recognised psychology. So to really know thyself, we need to dig deeper. And when we remove all this detritus that life has thrown at us, and we manage to polish it away, you reveal your true self. So thank you very much.